Good evening, warriors. Thank you for joining us this evening. Maybe it's not evening where you are, but nonetheless, how is everybody doing? A very important day to come to you and to speak about the Menendez brothers among a host of other breaking headlines because I feel like, I want to know if you feel like this, or I feel like every single hour I'm inundated with sex trafficking, child exploitation, all kinds of headlines breaking into, for lack of a better word, mainstream media. So everybody buckle up. We're going to spend about a half hour or so going through some things. Get your questions ready. It's an exciting day, but I got to start with before I forget, because once I start talking, I sometimes just keep going. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. We're building numbers. We have to build algorithms. It is very important that our hashtag at the Warriors is community creates change. Everybody should honor this. We are making change one day at a time. So when people say to me, how do you deal with that? Sex trafficking, labor trafficking, human trafficking. It's all under the same wheel, everybody, right? It's a wheel with a lot of different spokes. And all those spokes turn the big wheel. You've got to stay very focused, stay in your lane, and deal with it one day at a time, one person at a time, one good deed, anything. That's how you deal with it. But thank you for subscribing. Thank you for the donations. Thank you. We have our community event coming up November 2nd. The goods are pouring in. All of you who have contributed, thank you so much because you are going to be putting smiles um, on so many faces with all of that. So let's get into the Menendez. Before we do that, let's look at some of the um, comments. I want to make sure there's James. He got here fast on his laptop. Kevin's here. Liz Solak. Hi, Liz. How are you? Yes, my husband calls you the den mother. We've got Gracie Loves George. Um, let's see. I don't want to miss anybody. Leslie says Highland and everybody. Lionel Nation says focus. Okay. I think he means for you, not for me. Let me tell you about the importance of the Menendez brothers, right? Because you're going to be hearing, everybody's going to be jumping on this story, dissecting it, analyzing it, and frankly, they're going to be doing it for clicks and likes and anything to build their platforms. Well, I am here because at the Warriors, we consider ourselves educators. We like to give you different angles you might not be hearing in other places. We have been holding our breath a bit for this case with the Menendez brothers. Listen, there is no doubt they agree they murdered their parents. That is not the issue with any of this. Hi, Linda from the UK. Ooh, it's in the middle of the night there, kind of. Thank you for joining us. Here's what's important about this case. They killed their parents in 1989. The way sexual abuse of children in the home was looked at is so different from how it's looked at in 2024. Now, that being said, we've made tremendous strides since 1989. There's still work to be done. I know this, but especially back in the 80s, before that, the 90s, the 2000s, only recently do we look at this in the home and of males, of boys. I'm here to tell you that the biggest demo right now in sex trafficking, boys, who's talking about that? Nobody's talking about that. Liz, but do we believe their parents sexually abused them? Yes, I personally believed that they were exploited and they were abused. And I even believed it back during the trial in the 90s. They were sentenced in 1996 to life sentences um, without a chance of parole, right? Uh, the first trial was a mistrial, and the second trial, they were not. That was because this evidence of sexual abuse was brought in. And I remember at the time, go back, people were kind of poo-pooing, oh, all of a sudden they're pulling this out of their hat and they're accusing their great parents. And, I think people get shaded by, they lived in Beverly Hills and the father was well known and everything looked just beautiful, American family and the American dream, the way he worked his way, up the ladder, the father. But I'm here to say that, yes, I personally believe them. There are too many factors, including the boy bander. If any of you watched the news conference this afternoon with LA District Attorney George Gascón, a person I personally I am such a supporter of law enforcement and everything that goes with it. This person is such a detriment to the whole scene. Now, scene's not the right word, of trafficking, sexual exploitation. He is one of these Soros appointed DAs. He will put you and me in jail, but he'll let the criminals out. So that's kind of the bottom line there. Anyway, we all know, I think we're all smart enough here, he is facing an election. He claims that there was so much outcrying and outpouring because of the Netflix series, and I personally watched the entire thing, that they had to answer this. And that it also, I believe I heard him say today, it was coming up anyway in November for a rehearing, something. Here's the bottom line, because sex trafficking, sexual abuse in the home, let me stay on point here. Sex abuse in the home, especially with males, was not spoken about. It is still not spoken about. When we do our focus groups and we speak to healthcare and we speak to law enforcement, they say because the male is too embarrassed to talk about it, right? On top of it, it's their own allegedly father, I guess we have to say for now. But we have his cousin with a letter. And that letter, I didn't hear any talk today at this news conference about this letter. That is a piece of evidence. I didn't hear any talk about the boy bander that the father was representing, or part of his the music business, the company he was working for who stayed in their house in New Jersey. And at the age of 15, I believe it was, he has come forward and said, and a few years ago, said that he was attacked by the father. There's too many things with the business we do at the Warriors that point to believing these boys were not only horribly psychologically abused by both their parents, they were sexually abused as well. Now, that is no reason to do what they did. However, they were 19 and 21 when they were sentenced, life in prison without chance of parole. So I really think after, let's see, they went to prison in 96. And if you listen to Gascón, he said that they've led this good kind of life inside of prison, helping others. And, that all goes into the resentencing. So they're going back to the courts tomorrow for a resentencing, and it'll probably be time served. I am all in favor of them being released to live the rest of their lives. We work with too many victims who have been abused at the hands of their parents, family members. We work with domestic violence victims who snap, okay? A tough case for us all. Crystal Kaiser, look up that case for human trafficking, snapping and killing her pimp, her trafficker. And what do? Throw her in jail, kind of thing. We've got to break down these cases. We've got to change the culture, and we've got to look at what this is. These brothers should be allowed to get out now, live the rest of their lives, do their community services, focus on what they're doing. And I think that's what's going to happen. But we await and we see this is a very interesting case for the work we do at the Warriors and for all of us to just see how this goes. Because remember, so many criminals are, and I'm in no way saying what they did. I'm in no way endorsing it. Horrible, awful. They say the same thing. But enough now, 30-something years later. And as far as, and Liz, you bring up, the mom knew what was happening but didn't do anything to stop it. That's what we're told. We're told she was also taking pills, an alcoholic. She would just close her eyes to it or walk away. She never challenged the husband. But also, she was a victim. As far as I can see from the outside, now I don't know the Menendez family. When I look at her history and I look at the abuse she endured at the hands of her husband, Jose, he was having multiple affairs. He was a real, kind of drill sergeant guy. He was a bully. She, in my eyes, was also an abused woman. Now, the boys blamed her for not stepping in, stepping up, and they claim they put her out of her misery because she was just in this horrible, horrible state. So I don't know, James, asked, I wonder what must have had priority in the Menendez household, if not the babies. We don't know, James. This is just how some people are. We see this over and over again, how people in these situations treat their children and abuse their children for no other reason than power, right? And that brings me to so many different cases. We've had, I want to get into Dirty Diddy, as I like to call him, some updates on that, because that is just, I don't know. I've got survivors, victims. Uh, let's see where this goes, because this could be the case that cracks open another way for culture to think about all of this abuse. And then we had this creepy Mike Jeffries and all of that with the Abercrombie and Fitch. And then today there's Vince McMahon and his wife Linda have been served with a lawsuit. They were using 12-year-old ring boys, one of their employees, and unbeknownst to them, these 12-year-old ring boys were getting abused. They fired the guy. And this goes back years. Then they rehired him sometime later. So we have that going on. We have a case here in Brooklyn at a very prestigious school where the coach was arrested for, again, abusing boys, I believe. The stories never stop. But something I want to stick on this Dirty Diddy, and that's what I'm calling him, because you can't write this stuff, right? You cannot write this stuff. And yes, as Chrissy says, it boggles the mind, the depravity. You have no idea. I mean, I think I get shocked on a daily basis, and then I hear something else. And it's more shocking because regular people can't think of these things, or their minds don't. And that is my concern with the warriors, that all of this, kids are growing up around this, they're hearing it, they're seeing things online, right? More adults seem to be involved. I say, yes, we have the internet. Yes, we have a media that focuses on all this sex stuff. Not correctly, we'll get into that in a minute. But also, it is becoming, people are becoming habituated. It is becoming more normalized in our society. And I always ask the question, when did our children become the product? We know these things have gone on, right? Always. We had the Catholic Church. We've got it all, okay? We have coaches, sports, but it is growing. It is escalating. And I'm not just saying that. It is, because that's what the studies show. We have proof of all of this. When we can have 36 million CSAM, child sexual abuse images, reported to the National Center on Missing and Exploited Children in 1 year, the year 2023. That is unbelievable. That is up like 1,000% from the year before. I don't know what 2024 will be. All of this is increasing and increasing and increasing. I want to stick on this Diddy story and the Dirty Diddy, the importance of it. It is so, let's think about this, complicit. Your mind can go in a million different directions. And my mind has been, but I'm very careful with what I say. I like proof. I want to know facts. As a matter of fact, I did a segment today with Nancy Grace that will air tomorrow, Friday's program. And again, everybody, please check it out. It's Merit Street Media. It is a newish platform that Dr. Phil owns and is in charge of, and they launched it last February. And it's building. And find out where your cable carrier, what channel this Merit Street Media is on. It's a lot of crime. You got Dr. Phil, you got Nancy Grace, and God bless Nancy Grace. Let me tell you that she wants to focus on missing kids, on abused kids, on sex trafficking. Hugs and kisses to her. I'm telling you, and I am thrilled that I am on a regular basis talking about these headlines, because, and again, there's never enough time when you're doing a TV program and you're on a panel to really get everything out. But I'm thinking, is this all connected? I don't know. If I didn't know better, when I heard Beyonce is going to be shaking her booty, with Kamala, and we've heard so many things, right? We want proof. Again, we want facts. I'm not a lawyer, but we hear things in New York City. I started in the music business. I still have a lot of contacts. we hear things, right? That doesn't mean it's true. Where there's smoke, there's fire. I have some great sources. But all of a sudden, you got Beyonce stepping out. We heard so many things, about Jay-Z and Beyonce and all these people. We heard things about Dirty Diddy. What about J-Lo? She is just skating by. There's nothing really. Why is that? Nothing at all, especially when she was the girlfriend in 2000 and one of the newest lawsuits. And I told Nancy Grace this, and I told eventually when this all broke 5 weeks ago. Diddy's been in jail 5 weeks now. I believe this is a male sex trafficking ring, but also minors. Minors. And sure enough, 7 new lawsuits have launched. And one is she was 13 at the time, and another, he was 17 at the time. And this 13-year-old, all the media is saying, oh, she signed an NDA. And first of all, a child cannot consent. So an NDA, rip it up and throw it out in the garbage, because that doesn't hold any water. But the fact, 2000 she's claiming, after the, here in New York, we have the MTV Video Music Awards, VMAs. Yeah, VMAs. And she claims, she's being represented. Well, she claims she just went to Radio City Music Hall, the big venue here, had no ticket or anything to get in, but was hanging around, caught the eye of the limo driver for Dirty Diddy, and he invited her to an after party. And look, this is New York City. Girls have been doing this for decades, okay? And then was given some kind of drink, passed out. We've heard the stories, woke up to being attacked. I'm careful of the algorithms here, but it's a lot more violent and vicious than that. We're going to hear more stories like this. We have more lawsuits. I also want this attorney, Tony Busby in Houston, who launched, his 800 number, 888 number about Diddy. Okay, he's been dropping these hints that he's going to be naming these celebrities and influencers. Well, I'm waiting. My biggest fear is that the payoffs are going on. We need to get to the bottom of this case. It hasn't even begun yet, because I am telling you, in my opinion, this is about a male sex trafficking ring and minors. And that's what we have to focus on. We have to also focus on that, I was yelling. I'm always on Nancy Grace yelling, but I can't help myself. I get very, very upset, and I want the information out there. We got to teach everybody. Nobody's making you a star. When you hear somebody, this goes for kids, young people, adults. Everybody's got to listen up and listen good right now. You've got to, Howie Brown, thank you, Howie, gifted 20 Lynn's Warriors memberships. Just what we need, Howie Brown. Thank you for reminding us. We do have memberships. You get the videos first, and I still have to load some new stuff on. I just have no excuse, everybody. I am on the run every day. My best laid plans to stay home and work on the computer all day, forget it. I'm out on the road, or I'm called out to do something. It's always something. And you know what? If it's about survivors and victims, they come first. I think you can all understand that. But thank you, Howie, so much. I don't understand so many different things. Now we're hearing, we always heard about don't put your drink down, and they're putting the drugs in the drink, and the date rape drug and all that. So now, here in New York, our DEA, Frank Tarantino, very nice man, put out an alert the other day about pink cocaine. Now, this is something. Oh, let me just finish my PSA. See how I'm jumping all around? Every child, young person, and adult, I don't care. It's Hollywood, music business, modeling. I don't care when they say, you've got the look, we're going to make you a star, blah, 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 blah. It's not happening 99.99% of the time. It's not happening, especially when they have you to their office and they ask you to perform a sexual act. And you think that is part of the audition, that they have this power over you. And so people, what do? They just do it, and they're ashamed. They're disgusted. They kind of know it's wrong. They don't get anything out of it anyway. Run for the hills. This is the Lynn's Warriors PSA. Go through the right channels for all of this. No child should be in show business. That is my 2 cents. And if you, because we can't tell parents what to do because there's parental autonomy, if you are going to be in show business, I use that in quotes, the business of show, remember that, make sure that you as the adult never leave your child's side, no matter what somebody says to you. You go in every dressing room, audition room, sound stage, you sit in a chair, you go all over with that child. Nobody can separate you or tell you to step off. We don't want you on the set. None of that. I am here to warn you. If you only knew, if I only knew of all the stories of this exploitation. Yes, Liz, never leave your drink unattended. Everyone, not just the ladies. Well, that's just the thing. I was leading into that story. So we have this very nice DEA here in New York, Frank Tarantino, and he puts out an alert the other day about pink cocaine. Has anybody heard about this pink cocaine? And there's not even cocaine in it, basically, but it's called pink cocaine. And it has hit the streets in New York. Now, it's called a designer drug. I don't know why people say designer drug. Well, I do. I'll explain. But don't give it these names, designer drug. It's poison. It's a killer. And it was a club drug, right? Designer, I guess, because pink cocaine is, and everybody needs to know about this, because when it hits the streets, it's coming to a town near you, your place. It is made up of, you know what it is? It's the date rape drug on steroids. So people are mixing together the ketamine, the amphetamines, the date rape drug. They're mixing together, that GHB we heard about. They're putting pink food dye in it, strawberry flavored. And they're calling it pink cocaine. Pink cocaine. And the DEA in New York just confiscated it last week. They had a whole big drug bust, piles of this pink cocaine. But now regular people are using it. But here's what they're doing. Let's go back to the Diddy case. When you have a powder, it's a powder, this pink cocaine. And I'm telling you, talk to your kids, talk to your grandkids, be on the lookout. This stuff looks like, remember, I don't know if they have it anymore. Remember when we were kids, they had those straws with that like fruit powders in them or something. Does anybody remember that? It was kind of a stupid candy, I guess it was called, but it's like this powder, all different flavors in the little straws. And I remember cherry and strawberry and all that kind of stuff, orange. By His Love says, dang, it is not safe to go out anywhere anymore and have a drink by the piano. Well, it is if you hold on to your glass. Pixie sticks, that's it, pixie sticks. I guess they were considered candy, right? Kind of weird though, right? That's the consistency of this pink cocaine, right? So what does that tell you? It's appealing to young people as well. That was the problem with the gummies when they put all the marijuana in because it looks like candy, and they put all the stuff in these wrappers that would appeal to kids, the bright colors and teddy bears on things. And that was the problem with the vaping. It was created to look like appealing to kids, and that was done the marketing on purpose. Remember, kids are the eyeballs, kids are the customers. Kids are what you want to affect. Yes, Lori, with a white stick. I remember those things. I don't know why I just thought of them, but that and pink cocaine, but they were kind of horrible, right? But like we ate them if we had them. I don't even know where we got them. I don't know. But anyway, yes, I don't even know, because now in doing all this work and this pink cocaine, it's a powder. So let's get back to that. What they're doing, what Dirty Diddy is allegedly had been doing. We all heard about the 1,000 bottles of the baby oil and different things. Well, now the one of the lawsuits showed, somebody took a picture of it, one of the people suing, these syringes. So it is alleged that they were taking the powder, the pink cocaine, and they were mixing it into the baby oil and rubbing it on bodies, but really inserting it. And I think you know where I mean, if you know what I mean. not the front, but the back, because then it hits your system like that and renders you woozy, incapacitated. And that makes a lot of sense with this 1,000 bottles of baby oil that were put there by the feds. That's part of the whole thing that was confiscated. What would they be doing with all that baby oil? And now we have pictures of syringes. So they would, because a powder you can't dump in a drink, you got to mix it. Somebody would see it, right? And allegedly, I'm telling you this story because this can happen in real life too, and does happen. And everybody has to be very aware of their surroundings, especially when people have a couple of drinks, they're laughing, it's loud music. You do have to be so careful when you go out, right? That they take these syringes that are so small, it's just like behind your hand, and they can just shoot it into the drink. They mix it with the baby oil or some other kind of liquid and shoot it in. But they prepare all these syringes wherever their home is, wherever their home base is, because you can't carry around a mixture, mix it, do it all. So they pre-fill the syringes and they're going all over now and it's hitting the streets. Very dangerous. Pink cocaine. Very slippery slope. Because then you think that geez, by the time that the bartender makes a drink and it's brought to me, or a lot could happen in that transition, right? This could even go for if you have a soda or an iced tea. So it's a depraved society. It is really bad. And that brings me to, we're going to finish up with, is sex trafficking on the ballot for our presidential election? No, I really want to know, because it really should be, because it is unbelievable. We've got tens of thousands. And I mean this. I don't know what media says because I'm not watching it, but marching towards our open borders right now as I'm speaking to you, right? And they kind of look like young, strapping, healthy young men to me for the most part. It's kind of hard when you look at these caravans to see women, starving women and little children and family units. I just see kind of these young guys just with backpacks, maybe a hat on their head, marching towards us. We know what the cartels are doing. In my humble opinion, they are working hand in hand with our U.S. government. They have created the biggest human trafficking operation in the world. Other countries are looking at us and saying the same thing, whether you hear this or not. You probably don't hear it, but I'm here to tell you that. And it's just going on and on and on. We've got the NGOs that's been going on, making millions upon millions of dollars. I've been talking about that for 3 years now. Nobody's stopping them. That's all of our taxes. Most of the unaccompanied children, it is over 500,000. That we know about. So it's more. Where are they? Government can't tell me. Law enforcement can't tell me. I don't know. But I do know a lot of them are sex and labor trafficked. I do know a lot of them are put into forced servitude, forced begging. It's going right here in the United States. I think this should be on the ballot. Who's best handling this issue of sex trafficking? We recently had here in Queens, on an area called Roosevelt Avenue, a big sweep, because it used to be Asian prostitution in this area. And since we have the open borders, the Asian prostitutes have been pushed out, and it's all South American women and undoubtedly girls. Can't really tell their ages. Families have complained. This is a main thoroughfare with a lot of stores. The store owners have complained. Finally, they call it Boulevard of Sweethearts or some stupid name that I don't even want to say, because there's nothing sweetheart about this. And so my first question is, okay, where did all the prostituted Asian people go? Well, nobody knows. Yes, we do. They're pushed out into other communities, perhaps the family communities. It's all being normalized and escalating. Now we had the sweep. And do you know the sex worker movement? Because those are two words we do not use. We do not believe sex is work is sex. We say prostituted people because we know from our studies, most of these people prostituted have been forced into it, coercion, and that is a definition of human trafficking. And they will tell you, 97% of them, about they don't want to do this. There's a pimp, there's a trafficker, there's a family member forcing them. They are human trafficked. This is slavery. Instead of human trafficking, we need to say slavery. Do you know where they cleaned up the boulevard, Roosevelt Avenue, I should say? But these people would send me pictures, and also they'd walk up to men, with their wives and girlfriends, and also with their children, and just say, you want a girl tonight? I mean, blatant, horrible stuff. A lot of the community members about 2 weeks ago came together and did a big protest with a local council member. Okay, that was good. Next thing we know, we had the police come in, we had a sweep. Do you know, let's see, yesterday, the sex workers held a protest and said, we have every right to be on this street. We have every right to walk up to people and talk to them. They are so brazen. They are a well financed group. And I'll let you do a little homework on that across our great United States. So we've got to break through this sex trafficking. It is infiltrating every part of our lives, whether you realize it or not. I mean, what's going to be next? And as my mind thinks, perhaps perhaps are all these cases somewhat connected? We don't know. Why is it that we can't get to the bottom of a lot of these things? And why is it? And I was very strong on this today with Nancy Grace. The culture has been to blame the victim. Listen, you believe a victim, you listen to a victim, and you work down from there to try to disprove them. But you start out with believing the victim, as opposed to everybody blames the victim, like Dirty Diddy's doing right now, calling people liars, demanding they need their names so they can, go after them behind the scenes. I have news for you. They already know who these people are with the lawsuits and the Jane Does and all that, because that's in the court, you have to know. So they're just asking for gag orders. They should be gagged. That lawyer of Diddy's and Diddy himself. And his kids are not suffering, because I saw his teenage girls. They're cheerleading. They're running around to parties. They're just doing their thing. And okay. But I'm saying you could not pull off an operation like Dirty Diddy's without a lot of help, without people seeing things, without people hearing things, without enablers, accomplices. And that goes for any of this exploitation and sex trafficking. So everybody, your homework is really share facts, not fears, information. Look up pink cocaine, talk to your kids, talk to your grandkids. This stuff is a killer, a killer. And also, let's look for the Menendez Brothers. Their resentencing will be tomorrow. And this would be very good for survivors, because it will show them there is some form of justice, right? And that is what, with Diddy also, victims and survivors are looking for. And everybody always thinks it's the money grab. It is a lot. But you know what they tell us? It's more about being believed. It's more about, will there be justice? So we're going to find out about that tomorrow, and then we'll talk about that again. And remember, a lot's going on. A lot's going on. A couple of weeks until the election. I never tell you how to vote. I tell you this all the time. I do tell you, though, who would be the best with policy for sex trafficking, for borders, for our children, for our families. I think you know. But again, you make the choice. You must vote. Most important election of our lives. And please honor our hashtag Community Creates Change. Only by coming together like this can we really dig in and start solving problems. So let's go back. I want to thank everybody for joining us. Let me thank Howie Brown for gifting the 20 Lynn's Warriors memberships. That means so much, just so much to us, that we create this community. So I'm going to sign off. I'm going to let you all get to work and do your homework. Enjoy your evening. If it's daytime, enjoy your daytime. And let's reconvene perhaps tomorrow after we hear about the Menendez brothers. And let's pray for our children. And let's also always, always, always give them some extra hugs and kisses. I want to say goodnight to everybody. Remember, when you wake up each day, go out and be a warrior. Thanks, everybody.